Welcome back on the same issue. We're very delighted to be having with us live over the phone Mr. Elhamy El Zayat, the tourism expert. Good morning, Mr. El Zayat.
Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
First of all, what about this marvelous, amazing phenomenon? One of the wonders of the ancient Egyptians is this phenomenon. So please, if you could explain to us more, illustrate or elaborate over how this phenomenon is happening every year at the same time.
Well, it depends on how the temple is aligned. The temple has a certain axis, and depending on this, you have this phenomenon which happens every year, like in Karnak now, and also you have it in Fayum, in the temple of the god in Crocodipolis. So you have the same phenomenon because it depends on the alignment. If the temple is east-west or north-south, you have a similar phenomenon, as you know, in Abu Simbel.
Of course.
But because it's a different direction, it's east-west, not north-south. So it happens in October and in February. So this is a phenomenon. I don't know how they calculated it. It's very, very important, but because they didn't know all what we know in mathematics today. And the fact is that it happens every year. And it's a phenomenon people come especially to see it.
Right. Is it because people observe this phenomenon each year, which is, of course, December 21st and December 22nd? Is it because that daylight happens to be shortest and night times longest?
No, you are right for the first one. Because this is the shortest day, is 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And that's why they celebrate Christmas on 24th, because the start of the day becoming longer. You know, it goes down until the 21st, then 21st, 22nd, 23rd is the same length, and then 24th is really the sun starts, you start having longer days. So it happens in winter, but it has no connection with the one in February and October in Abu Simbel. This is the strange one. How did they calculate this? And they say it corresponds with the anniversary and the birthday and the coronation day of the King, Ramses II. But this I don't know. I mean, is it happening haphazardly or did they calculate it? But it's very, very astute what they have done.
Some historians also observed a coincidence that the sun lights both sites in Luxor and Fayum at the same day, or it was intended. Is that true?
No, it's the direction of the temple itself. How is the, you know, there is the Holy of the Holy. This is where they put the statue of the god, and the temple is either directed northeast or, north-south or east-south or east-west. So it depends on the direction of the temple. The Karnak temple is directed east-west. That's why it happens with this phenomenon on the 21st.
Right. We've noticed throughout, all people, historians and Egyptologists who have studied history and read about the wonders and the successes, different outstanding successes in science in particular of ancient Egyptians, have noticed that the ancient Egyptian science is purely based on observing sun and its activities and astronomy. So what was so, meaningful for ancient Egyptians when it comes to an element like the sun or astronomy? Do you think that they based their history and culture over those two important elements in nature?
It is thought with some people that it is based on astrology. Not astronomy, because astrology is the scientific.
Astrology, right.
You know, astronomy is for.
Of course.
Okay. No, actually, before us, Sumer, they had the same phenomenon. Sumer, this is actually Iraq now. They were very, very accurate also in studying the phenomenon of the sun and the stars and all this. And they actually invented the 60 minutes, 60 seconds. You know, we have a decimal system where we count from 1 to 9 because they didn't know the zero at the time. And you have this phenomenon of the 60. They count the 60 units. So you have 60 seconds, 60 minutes in an hour, and 60 seconds, and then you have a decimal system. So, but they were more advanced than the Egyptian at that time, the Sumer people. Sumer, you know, this is Iraq, this is Uru, this is where Abraham came from.
Right, but why was the sun so important to them? Why were the stars the foundation for observing realities, observing truths, and reaching out to physical theories, for example? I mean, they have observed most of their science over the sun, astrology, and the stars, and nature in general.
Absolutely. And because also, don't forget something very important. The ancient Egyptian believed that once the pharaoh dies, he becomes a star. You know, and he doesn't die, he goes in the sky and he becomes a star which is permanently alive. That's why they had to keep the body alive, so that the ba, which is the soul, keeps going back and forth between the star and the body. You know, it was very important for Egyptians to keep the body intact. And that's why the embalmment. So it's all related, but it's all related to the star, and also the phenomenon of the flood of the Nile is related to the star. And Sirius, the star is called Sirius, which is the northern star. The day they see it, it's the start of the flood. So yes, they were very, as a conclusion, they were very, very, they were following all the stars and the astrology, yes.
Could we relate this to spirituality, to religion, to meditation? I mean, where does it come from? I mean, these particular beliefs or this particular culture of taking so much interest in planets and stars and, I mean, that particular world?
Listen, it started by observation. And observation led to believing in something that recurs all the time. And something that recurs all the time, there must be somebody who moves it. So this is related to religion. And this is why they relate everything together, the phenomenon of the star, the phenomenon of the religion, because they believe that in the Egyptian mythology, all the gods were in the sky. They were not living with us on earth. The only god that lived on earth is Horus, the son of Isis and Osiris. And he is the one only god who lived on earth and became the first Egyptian king. It's mythology, of course. It's not, but this is what they believed in. That's why the stars, the observation of the stars were very important. And very important, as I said, for the flood of the Nile. Because if it didn't appear at the right time, it means they would have a bad flood, and a bad flood means a poor season for food. So it was very, very crucial to watch the sky and watch the sun. And then it relates to religion, of course, because they have to relate all this together.
Right, but it is very obvious that they based some of their science, some of their knowledge, their culture, their history over particular elements, I mean amazing elements like penetration of the sun. And that reflected also, or probably they used to show off their architectural marvels through the penetration of the sun. I mean the collaboration of both science and architectural marvels in the ancient history And until this very moment, nobody could ever be able to come up with something like that. So what was the secret with the penetration of sun rays on Al-Karnak or Abu Simbel or particular architectural entities that they have erected in their history?
You know how the sun was important for the ancient Egyptians because they believed, first of all, it's the god Aton for Tutankhaten or Akhenaton, and it's the god Atum, Atoum. That's the god because the creation of the world, the first thing that was created was this god, and it was created this school of Heliopolis, and which was called On at the time. So this school believes that God was created. He created himself. He then created two sons, son and a daughter. So it's the whole mythology, and who had two son, daughter, and then four children: Isis, Osiris, Set, and Nephthys. So the whole thing started there, and the sun was crucial. It was the center. And it became even more crucial during Akhenaten time because they said only one God, it's the sun God. So it's not that they believe there are other gods, but they said only sun God. And then they went back to their initial, which is Amun-Ra.
Right.
So all the time you will find the sun somewhere in the mythology.
Right. On that note, Mr. Elhamy El Zayat, the tourism expert, would like to thank you, sir, so much talking to us in the Breakfast Show. And by this, we come to the end of this edition of the Breakfast Show for today. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again tomorrow morning, that's a goodbye.